the third baseman, Chloe Borges. Batting third, the catcher, number 43, Isabella Martinez.
What's up, you guys? How y'all doing? I have returned for my recap video of the last University of Hawaii softball season outing against Cal Poly Mustangs. This is for UH softball, like I said. And this one actually turned out to be a 2-game series instead of 3 games, mainly because Mother Nature took the third and kind of stuck around in both games and certainly made for a mixed bag, to say the least, as far as this series is concerned. And as you're seeing on these two graphics here, right across from me, UH won the first game 3-2 and lost the second one 6-5. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but first of all, I'm going to put up my banner here. And guys, as I do so, just remember, subscribe. That's how this channel grows. I want to keep my monetization status. The only way I can do that is with your help. And as you can see on my banner, UH goes 1-1 in 2-game series. Mother Nature, and I say in quotes, wins the third. Okay? And I say that because they were unable to get the third game out of the way because of the weather. So, let's get into this. All right, now, the first game, this was actually one of those games where UH really knew how to seize control after taking the lead. Now, I have to say, though, Cal Poly, they got a few local girls on their team, and one of them also, I think, is one of the pitchers, Kai Barrett. She's one of the local girls, one of the girls from Hawaii, like I said. And but you know, whatever. But I just thought I'd give that a shout out anyway. But still, anyway, Cal Poly began the first game, the Friday night game, with a home run in the first inning. And UH came up empty when it was their turn. But in the second inning, now I'm talking about the Friday night game, that actually proved to be kind of a stress-free or a kind of a mixed bag of like stress-free and high-stress game. That's why I said it was kind of a mix. That's why I said it was kind of a mixed bag. But still, the one who really gets the credit for sure, Maycen Gibbs. She got 2 runs. She aided in 2 runs off a sac bunt, which was enough to get her to second base on a throwing error. And it was enough to drive in Chloe Borges and Mya'Liah Bethea. And of course, Mya'Liah Bethea also had a bunt herself. And fortunately, thanks to Maycen Gibbs using a sac bunt, UH was able to get on the board and in the lead 2-1. It was in the bottom of the second. And with only 1 out on top of that. Unfortunately, play was suspended after that because of some weather, some inclement weather. And unfortunately, the game was, as I said, the game was suspended until Saturday night, which also tied in with the doubleheader. So they resumed play on Saturday, April 6th, and the only other time that UH ended up scoring was this solo home run from Maya Nakamura. And it was 3-1 UH. And as you can see, I kind of missed the when she hit the ball. But still, I got the main bulk of it, which was that home run. And that was Nakamura's 7th home run of the season. And I even got another interview with her. That was my 3rd one. And I even told her after the Cleveland State game, which she won, that if she pulled off those kinds of heroics, that I was going to be speaking with her after some games. And she told me she was looking forward to it. And as it turns out, my instincts were right.
Yeah, I definitely had to redeem myself from yesterday. I had a very unproductive at bat that, in the situation we were in wasn't very helpful, so I had to make a change.
And I got to tell you, if my instincts were right for about $5 every time, I probably would be a rich man by now. Not going to lie to you. Because my instincts are just about spot on, maybe 80-90% of the time. That I thought I was like when I told Maya Nakamura that I had a feeling that I was going to be speaking with her again before the season was over. And turns out I was right. She pulled off some similar heroics to put UH in the win column. In this case, it was that home run. And the only other time Cal Poly scored was another home run from Jessica Clements. She hit the first home run in the 1st inning, and she had a home run in the 6th. So I would give that game, I would say an A, mainly because UH was solid. They didn't crack in that first game. And after they got in front, they never trailed again. Unfortunately, UH didn't score after that Nakamura home run. But as it turns out, they didn't have to. Now for the second one, which is a bit of a disappointment, UH will lose that one 6-5. And that second one, I would probably give them a B, mainly because, unfortunately, they kind of subjected themselves to a deficit. But that 4th inning in that second game kind of told much of the story, because Cal Poly put up 4 runs in that 4th inning, but there was a lot more to it than that. And the reason why is they had a runner on every base for about 20 whole minutes or something, for what seemed like 20 minutes, because they had to get out of a jam. They had to get 2 outs. A double play seemed likely, but they had to do it individually, and they were unable to pull off a double play. Those 4 runs started with an RBI walk, and then in that then they got a RBI single, and obviously that 4th inning was pretty ugly, and Kai Barrett was the one who gave that RBI single that allowed Mia Perez and Kiara Blanchard to score. I'm also looking at the box score on my desktop. But still, it'll kind of explain some stalls. But still, I'm no softball. I was telling Zhao Jin this. I'm no softball expert, but it didn't take a genius to figure out that 4th inning was pretty rough for them. And here's what she had to say.
Yeah, definitely was a little chaotic out there on the field, but I think we did a good job as a team kind of coming back from that and bouncing back. Definitely for the 5th and 6th innings.
So UH saw themselves down 6-3, but I also kind of jumped over one exciting moment. But so I'm going to get to that right now. How did UH get on the board? A triple home run from Maddox Muramoto. And it turns out Maddox Muramoto is the granddaughter of Les Murakami, the guy who the baseball stadium at UH at the University of Hawaii at Manoa is named for, Les Murakami Stadium. It turns out Maddox Muramoto is Les Murakami's granddaughter. Or I should say the late Les Murakami, I'm pretty sure. And I got to tell you, that was a very good outing for Maddox. She came in to replace Maya Nakamura, who took a fall in the first inning. And I also talked with Maya Nakamura. I'll also include links to my audio interviews to both Maya Nakamura and Zhao Jin. And it turns out Maya Nakamura was on crutches after the game because it turns out she took a fall towards the end of the first inning and suffered an apparent injury. But I talked to her. She says she's getting better. And I would think that she should be good to go for their next game at UC Riverside. Now, I'm not doing prediction videos there, but of course, obviously, softball is wide open, and you never know what can happen. Of course, in softball, some teams can put up between 6 and 10 runs, or some can pull off between 1 and 5 runs. Maybe even more than that if you have a damn good player on your roster, like how Oklahoma had local girl Jocelyn Allo. And if someone has Jocelyn Allo on the team, they're almost kind of guaranteed to win every single time. Unfortunately, UH kind of doesn't really have that player. I think the closest they got is probably Dallas Millwood. And make no mistake, Dallas is a hell of a player, and I'm glad that she has that redshirt year. And she's able to have a senior year after how last year went for her, where her season pretty much came to an end before it ever got started. But Dallas Millwood had a decent game in that second one. She had an RBI single, which drove in 2 runs. And unfortunately for UH, they made it 6-5. Unfortunately, nobody scored after that, which was a bit of a disappointment for sure. Now, obviously, I would give this game a B because they were able to They definitely show that they have the pace, which is good. And unfortunately, if Maya Nakamura hadn't gotten hurt, I probably would be looking at a 2-game sweep. But it is what it is. You know, hopefully that Maya will be good to go for the UC Riverside series. And hopefully we'll get a 3-game series underway. Because obviously weather has been a problem, especially in Hawaii, especially what we saw against Cal Poly and at UC San Diego, because UC San Diego, at their place, UH is only able to play their doubleheader. Their single game on Saturday got rained out. And of course, against Cal Poly here, gameplay was halted on Friday, and we had 3 separate rain delays on Saturday. You know, it is kind of expected. You do kind of expect weather to play a part. But I think a lot of officials have been kind of on the half and half about making up the games. And here's what Zhao Jin had to say about that.
In terms of the standings, I've noticed with our rain out in San Diego, I believe, and then our rain out here, there's definitely been a bit more conversation about if we're going to be making up these games, how we're going to make these games, if we need to, and how that's going to affect our standings in terms of wins and losses if we don't have those games in our column.
So I got to tell you, if there's one thing that if I'm kind of thinking that what softball should do, I don't know if they're going to make up the games. I don't know if they can arrange a flight in due time, because obviously I don't know if the NCAA would allow it. But then again, if it is a 2-game series, and I don't know, I might be happier with two games played, because I know that basketball does 2 games as well. One at home, one on the road, and I don't know if softball is going to do that, but I don't know. So, obviously, the second game was a bit of a disappointment, but still. Personally, I'm glad that UH was able to come away with at least 1 win against Cal Poly. And make no mistake, Cal Poly's a good team. More I can say for their basketball team. I'm not, because in their men's basketball team, because they went 0-20 in Big West Conference play. So, obviously they're not a terrible team, because they've shown the basketball team, they're not a terrible team, but they could certainly have used some help. They lost the services of Brantley Stevenson and Ali Mami Karoma. They both transferred out. But still. But anyway, back to softball. Personally, I'm just glad that UH came through with the win over Cal Poly. If they came away with 2 losses, I would be pretty bitter about it, honestly. Especially when those rain delays didn't really help. And of course, losing Maya Nakamura didn't help in that second game, but I'm sure she'll be okay for the UC Riverside series. So, anyway, guys, that's all for today. And remember, subscribe. That's how this channel grows. I want to keep my monetization status. You will not see a recap video for the UC Riverside series because they are on the road. They will return home for their next series. And I hope that's going to be a good one. So I'm trying to find out where their next series is, or after UC Riverside. And it turns out they come home for CSU Bakersfield. Now, personally, I think that should be a season sweep. But we'll see what happens. Of course, softball is wide open. Because Bakersfield is down pretty much at the bottom of the stack. But then again, you can't take them lightly. So, anyway, guys, that's all for today. And remember, subscribe, and I'll see you all for that next game recap, which will be against CSU Bakersfield.